I've traveled around this state and the nation, and I'm struck. I'm struck by how the land and the industries and the local food and the local customs and the teams we root for, how different they may be. But one thing this election, more than any other I've ever been involved in, one thing I find, no matter where I am, whether I'm in Warren, Ohio, Wilmington, Delaware, Scranton, Pennsylvania, out in the West Coast, or in Montana, the fact of the matter is the concerns of this election are exactly the same. Exactly the same. Every single place I go. They're the things you talk about at your kitchen tables. You know, will I have a job next month? Will I have a job next month? Can I afford to go to the doctor? Literally, a woman saying to me in the rope line, I wasn't able to take my kid for his physical for school this year. I don't have insurance, I didn't have the money. Can I go see the doctor? Well, a lot of people can. And we're going to change that, kiddo, I promise you. But here's the deal. Here's the deal. The discussions people are having from Montana to Florida are the same discussions. I was home in my hometown in an area just where I represented as a local county councilman, not far from home, called Marshallton. And I was at a gas station. And a kid I used to have, I used to be a park director and a lifeguard in Wilmington, Delaware. That's how I made a little bit of money when I was growing up. And a kid named Joey Danko, he's not a kid, he's a grown man, he's a firefighter in Wilmington. He has two talented kids. He has one kid who he's trying to send to medical school, and he knows that he won't be able to pay for his next kid to get to college if he sends the one to medical. I mean, it's a real choice he's making here. And Joey pulled up to fill up his car. I was at this gas station, true story. And I said, hey, Joey, how you doing, bud? And I walked up. I hadn't seen him in a while. And we reminisced a little bit about the old days at Rockford Park, the park that I was a manager in. And I said, Joey, how much does it cost to fill up your gas tank? And he looked at me and said, Joe, I don't know. I don't know how much it costs because I never have enough money to fill it up. Now, this is a guy whose wife, he and his wife both work. He's a firefighter, a union firefighter. Here's a guy who's in a situation where he has two talented kids. He's breaking his neck to try to get them to school, and he can't fill up his gas tank to the top. Ladies and gentlemen, you know, people are asking at that kitchen table, is my house, if you have a house still, is my house worth what I paid for it? Is my house worth less money than the amount of money I own on my mortgage? Will I be able to send my kids to college? Or as somebody said to me in Scranton, we're up in Scranton Sunday, my hometown. They said, my question is, can I send Mary, what am I going to say to her when she comes home for Christmas? Because I don't think we're going to have the money to send her back for the second semester. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the questions all of you are asking. Because what you decide may ultimately determine what this country decides. You here in Ohio, what you decide, literally, not figuratively, I'm not trying to make you more or less important than you are, but what you decide here in Ohio is likely to determine what the next decade in the United States of America is going to look like. Because Ohio is likely to determine who the next president of the United States of America is. So folks, now I may be a little biased here, but I think Barack Obama's the guy. I think Barack Obama's the guy that can turn this around. And if you want to know why, look no further than what happened yesterday. Just what happened yesterday. John McCain and Barack Obama, both campaigns announced the day before, they're each going to make a major speech yesterday. Barack Obama, he made a major speech. He laid out some new ideas on how to attack America's problems, how to get people back on their feet. And what did John McCain do? He laid out some new attacks on Barack Obama. The distinction couldn't be, by the way, I think this is the best way to look at this, folks, an honest way. The distinction could not be clearer. One guy's fighting for you, and the other guy's fighting mad and attacking. In fact, 100%. 100% of John McCain's ads he's running now are negative. 100%, every single ad. Look, guys, you've been around before. You've been around the block. You know these attacks don't hurt Barack. They don't hurt me. They hurt the American people. Because why? They're trying to distract the American people. They're trying to distract the American people what's going on every day in their lives, what's going on in their country. Although in John McCain's defense, I can see why he'd want to distract you. Here in Ohio, the median income has dropped more than $2,000 for families over the last 8 years. Ohio's lost 240,000 manufacturing jobs in the last 8 years. The premiums people pay in their health care policies in Ohio have doubled in the last 8 years. Ladies and gentlemen, in that speech yesterday, John McCain said, and I quote, "We cannot spend the next 4 years as we've spent much of the last 8, waiting for our luck to change." End of quote. And yet nothing John McCain and Sarah Palin are proposing is any fundamental change from what's been happening in the last 8 years. Help with your health care. How are they going to help? Tax your health care benefits. That's what they're saying. Rebuild your retirement savings. How are they going to do that? Privatize Social Security. Create jobs. How are they going to do that? Give another $4 billion tax break to the Exxon Mobils of the world. These are the facts. Need to grow an economy? How do you do it? Free spending on education and innovation, the very things that will grow the economy in America. Look, folks, his only idea that's different is that he proposed in the last debate that he wants to use your tax dollars to bail out the very lenders who got us in this mess in the first place. That's his new idea. Look, because John has nothing new to offer. That's why I think you're seeing John McCain's campaign becoming so erratic, relying on stunts and negative ads instead of offering real solutions. Ladies and gentlemen, look how John McCain has responded to the current economic crisis. At 9 a.m., this is literal, at 9 a.m. on Monday morning, September the 15th, as the bottom was falling out, John said, as best we can count it, for the 20th time in the month before, that the fundamentals of the American economy are strong. That's what he said at 9 a.m. on Monday morning. Then, at 11 a.m., John McCain said, we're in the midst of a great economic crisis. Now, folks, that's what we Catholics call an epiphany. Ladies and gentlemen, presidents are supposed to provide steady leadership in times of challenge. What John didn't realize, he didn't realize that this economic crisis is actually the final verdict on the failure of the last 8 years of economic policy, which we're going to fundamentally change. Folks, in John McCain's epiphany, he didn't see the light. You know what he saw? He saw the presidency receding from his grasp. That's what he saw. Folks, when Barack Obama is president, we're not going to be waiting for our luck to change. We're going to change our luck. That's what Americans do. Americans change their luck. We change it. Folks, this is pretty basic. Even with this campaign going on, that work of changing our luck should start right now. I saw the Tribune Chronicle that more than 500 Turnbull properties went into foreclosure in the first 6 months of this year alone. And that was before the bottom fell out of this economy. We should start right now. We can't wait till, God willing, we're sworn in on January the 20th. We have to start immediately when the Congress goes back in session in the middle of November. I've already talked to Harry Reid. We're talking to the leadership. Here's what we need to do right away. We need to put a 3-month moratorium on foreclosures of all those people fighting to hang on. fighting to hang on to them, giving them a chance to renegotiate their ability to stay in their homes. We need to give every small business in America a $3,000 refundable tax credit for every new employee they hire. We want them hiring people now. Get the economy moving. We think we should increase the authority to lend to small businesses, just like we did after 9/11, so they can keep their businesses growing and keep hiring people. And we need help on energy. Sarah Palin, Governor Palin in our debate, no, it's okay. That's okay. Sarah Palin in our debate pointed out with great pride that in Alaska, Alaskans get a rebate because Alaska imposed a windfall profits tax on the oil companies. Ladies and gentlemen, Barack Obama and I want to impose a windfall profits tax on the oil companies who made $600 billion since 2000. So every one of you get a $1,000 rebate now in order to be able to heat your homes this winter. Folks, if it's good enough for Alaska, it ought to be good enough for the lower 48, you know? And we're not kidding about this stuff. I'm deadly earnest. Look, it's going to cost you an average of $3,400, the average home in Ohio, to heat your home this winter. An extra $1,000 could help you get through this winter in heating your home. Ladies and gentlemen, and by the way, the oil companies can afford it, thank you. And look, if you're fortunate enough to have a retirement savings account, we think you should be able to withdraw from that account without any penalty to help you get through this difficult time. And we think we've got to do those things now, not wait for 3 more months. And when we're inaugurated, God willing, I guarantee you 2 things. Our entire focus, hear me now, our entire focus will be about jobs and rebuilding the middle class and reestablishing our leadership and respect in the world, because it's been lost. Ladies and gentlemen, that's why no matter what you hear in these scurrilous ads and these untrue ads, that's why no one can challenge the fact that if you make less than $250,000 a year, that you're going to get not one single penny increase in taxes, and 95% of the American people and 95% of people here in this great state are going to get a real live tax break to help them move. Ladies and gentlemen, but if you're a company that's shipping jobs overseas with the tax benefits you get to do it, those days are over. We're going to take that money and invest it here in companies that keep jobs here in America. And we're going to buy American. And we're going to invest in America by rebuilding roads and bridges and our crumbling infrastructure. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to invest $60 billion over the next 10 years. That will create 2 million new jobs, paying an average of $50,000 a year. And it's estimated that 76,000 new jobs will be created right here in the state of Ohio by reinvesting in our infrastructure. And by the way, we'll have the benefit, Sharon, of keeping jobs here because companies will be able to stay here because they'll have a better infrastructure, better bridges, better roads, better airports. It'll make it better for everyone. And you know what? I know you have you've got a Packard museum not far. I used to have a Packard. Now, it was an old Packard, and it was almost hand-painted turquoise. It was a convertible. I tell you what, we used to call it the battleship. It was 1956 Packard. I was a high school kid, and I know you have a Packard museum for here, not far from here. But folks, we should be worrying about more American auto plants being built than more museums being constructed. And ladies and gentlemen, that's why Barack Obama and I support efforts to let car companies retool so that there can be more plants like the one in Lordstown, where they're building fuel-efficient cars. And that's why we'll build on what works in our healthcare system so that every American has affordable, accessible healthcare. We're not going to tax your healthcare policy, give you $5,000 then to go out to try to find a $12,000 policy. Where I come from, we call that a bridge to nowhere. And that's what John wants to do. And folks, we're gonna get serious about freeing ourselves from the grip of Middle Eastern oil, because investing in American energy, $15 billion a year over the next 10 years in wind and solar, clean coal, renewable fuels, ladies and gentlemen, we can strengthen our environment, we can increase our security, and we can, what the studies show, create 5 million new jobs that cannot be outsourced. Why aren't we getting smaller? As my brother would say, this is all within our wheelhouse. We have the capacity to do this. And we're also going, in order to rebuild this economy for the middle class, we're going to make college more affordable. Not just because it's right and fair for our young people, but because, as my wife, who's a college professor, says, you know, any nation that out-educates us will out-compete us. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do it the simple, old-fashioned American way. We want to broaden our definition of national service in this country, getting millions of young Americans to serve not just in the military like my son, but also in our communities, in our schools, in our underserved rural and inner city communities. And we're going to say to those kids who do that, you invest in America, and we promise we will invest and send you to college. Folks, and what we're going to do is we're going to do right by our women and men in uniform. We're going to do right by giving them the tools to fight and protect themselves while serving abroad. And equally as important, we're going to give them and treat them with the dignity and respect they deserve and they've earned when they come home. And here's how we're going to do it. Sharon and I just voted for a plan that John McCain originally said was too generous. We voted for a GI Bill, a genuine educational opportunity that will give benefits that are generous, just like the one Barack Obama's grandfather enjoyed when he came home after fighting in Patton's army at World War II, just like a whole lot of your grandparents were able to do. Ladies and gentlemen, let me make one thing abundantly clear. The best thing we can do for our men and women in uniform, the best thing we can do for America's standing in the world, the best thing we can do for our security is end this war in Iraq. And we will end it. We will end it. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been patient. At the end of the day, there's a fundamental difference between Barack Obama and John McCain and Joe Biden and Sarah Palin. And it's literally this basic, in my view. It's what
Not answer to that question.
Maybe I should stop here. But look, in real terms, no matter what your political party, no matter what your political persuasion, anybody listening to this broadcast, look, folks, the fundamental difference is how we measure progress. How we measure progress for the country. We do not measure progress in terms of how many regulations we've cut or how much, quote, government we've gotten out of the way, the phraseology, or how the marketplace can run. We don't measure progress in terms of how well the CEOs of the Fortune 500 companies are doing. And by the way, the average Fortune 500 CEO will get a $700,000 tax cut under the McCain. That's a fact. A $700,000 tax cut under the McCain, while 100 million Americans get zero. But folks, that's not how we measure progress. We measure progress in terms of dignity and respect for the middle class, the working people of this country. Whether you have a job, we measure progress in whether or not you can afford to provide health care for your family. We measure progress whether Joey Danko can fill up his tank in one shot. We measure progress in whether or not you're able to heat your home this winter without having to make tough choices about other things you're not going to do. We measure progress in whether or not you're able to send and keep your kids in college. It's about whether, as my dad would say, you can look your kid straight in the eye and say, honey, it's going to be okay. I promise you. That's how we measure progress. And there's a fundamental difference. So folks, a lot of us grew up in neighborhoods. A lot of you grew up in neighborhoods like I grew up in Scranton and Claymont and Wilmington, Delaware, that was loaded with mothers and fathers who told us that if we worked hard, if we were honest, if we loved, it sounds corny, but we were told this, worked hard, honest, loved our country, there wasn't anything we couldn't do. Folks, we believed it. We believed it. Rich and I, we believed it, and we did it. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm running for vice president with Barack Obama because I believe more than any other person in the country, he's going to be able to rekindle that dream, that American dream again. It's always occurred. It's always required leadership, genuine leadership. And I believe with his leadership, we'll do exactly that. Fill the neighborhoods again with mothers and fathers who don't not only say to their children, but believe when they tell their children that the playing field has been squared up here, that it's fair again, that there's a shot again. Ladies and gentlemen, I was raised by a guy, my dad, who had an expression I heard from the time I was a kid. And I mean this literally. He'd say, champ, when you get knocked down, get up. Just get up. I've never seen a time in my career when so many people have been knocked down. And ladies and gentlemen, it's time. It's time for us together as Americans to get up. America is ready to get up. You're ready to get up. I'm ready to get up. Barack Obama is ready to get up. It is our time. It is America's time. So let's get up in Ohio. Let's win this and change the country we love so much. May God bless America and may God protect our troops. Get up. Time to get up. Take back America, Ohio. Lead the way. Get up.